The UK home education homeschooling terminology wars. So, why is it so important and why do so many home educators insist on the correct terminology? Well, it's to protect you, your family, and the wider home ed community. In the UK, we have two very different legal definitions. And with those definitions comes different criteria and different responsibilities. The full UK term is elective home education. Your child's fully deregistered, so not on any school roll or has never attended school at all. You, the parent, are completely responsible for your child's education. That covers financial responsibility right down to the resources that you provide for your child's education. You have to provide a fully rounded education that meets your child's age, aptitude, and ability. You don't have to follow the curriculum, and you certainly do not have to mirror school at home. Whereas homeschooling in the UK, and it's very different to homeschooling in America too, and I do think that's where a lot of confusion comes in with the terminology, to be honest. But in the UK, homeschooling has a completely different definition. Your child is usually still registered at a school, but they don't attend. So this can cover children with school refusal, for example, long-term illnesses, autoimmune diseases. It covers a whole host and array of possibilities that can go on with your child, but the LA still remains in control of your child's education. They provide the resources, they provide the education, and they facilitate the tutors for that if required. They'll provide you with the work, but they cover the cost too. It varies depending on your own child's needs and situation, but the LA is responsible for that education. So why is it that these definitions are so important, especially now more than ever? Well, we know there's been a lot of changes to the guidance recently, and Wales are fighting this because it's been brought in there first, but it is coming to England and Scotland soon. When you use the term homeschooling in your report, for example, to the LA, they will expect you to be meeting the criteria of the homeschooling definition. And if you're not, an SAO can be issued. And that starts the whole back to school process legally within the court system. When you use the term home education, however, it's a very different ballgame. There's a lot of underhand terminology used in these new guidelines. However, they haven't changed the actual law in the UK, the actual Education Act. None of that has changed, and home educators are protected within that act, and we can use that act to protect ourselves. But we need to be using the correct terminology in all our correspondence and reports with the LA to do so, because if we use homeschooling, we fall under the other definition. And sadly, there has been cases where this has happened, where parents have used the incorrect terminology and certain LAs and certain areas have acted on that and used it to force the children back into school. So if it's already happening before the new guidance is here, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to happen when it comes into full force. Using the term home education gives you the legal definition to fall back on to protect yourself and your family if you ever need to. Let's not forget that many LA officers, home education officers, and school teachers do not actually know the law. They always overstep their remit and they always try and push those boundaries. It happens all the time. We see it all the time in the home ed community. You see other parents moaning about it when the children are in the school system enough. So we know that we need to have these defences in place and this protection in place before it ever gets to that stage, just in case. We're quite lucky with our LA in the area that we are. So that's a blessing for us home educators, but that could change as they bring in new education officers. By using the correct terminology and getting to know the law around home education in your own country, whether it's England, Scotland, Wales, etc., within the UK, you can protect yourself better. And you can use this actual law in your defence if it's ever required. And you can find out more on this by going to websites such as Heifer or Education Otherwise. Please pop any questions in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them for you.